We're going to be looking at the volume of spheres today. So first of all, let's just define a sphere. And basically, a sphere is just the set of all points in space that are a given distance from a given point, right? So we call this point in the middle the center, right? So this is your center right here. And then any point that's r, or the radius away, okay, so up, out, down, okay, sideways, all of those points make up what is called a sphere, which you probably are already familiar. I mean, it looks like a ball, right? So the formula for the sphere is 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed, all right? So it's a little different than the other volume formulas. But again, this is not something you have to memorize. It's given to you on a star chart, and you just have to know to look for it. All right, so let's just practice using it. You've used a lot of formulas in this chapter, so you should be able to just plug in and go. And we want to practice finding the volume of the spheres. And we're going to round to the nearest tenth if we need to. So let's go. It's a sphere, it's a ball. All right, so that tells me I'm using 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed. So that's 4/3. Pi is 3.14. The radius, okay, is halfway, just like it would be with a circle. So instead of 22, I would use 11, but it's being cubed. Okay, so what does 11 cubed mean? It means 11 times 11 times 11. All right, with spheres, right, this is really 8th grade material. So in this pit stop, we're gonna let you use a calculator, right? So there are a couple ways to do that, and I will show you in class how to do it, but we're just gonna be really basic because you can do it this way on any calculator. 11 to the 3rd power means 11 times 11 times 11. So if you just punch that into a calculator, 11 times 11 times 11, you're gonna get 1,331, okay? Then if you do this next part, 1,331 times 3.14, so times 3.14, you're gonna get this number, 4179.34. Okay, then if I need to multiply that times 4/3, okay, how do you multiply fractions? Remember, we can make this over 1, and we can do top times the top and bottom times the bottom. So I'm going to do 4,179.34 times 4, which is 16717.36. And then on bottom, 3 times 1 is 3. And then how do you simplify this part? Well, this just means divide. So now I'm going to divide it by 3. And what I end up with is 5570.453, and 3 keeps going. All right. So they have asked me to round to the nearest tenth, so I don't want to leave it like this. My final volume for this is going to be 5,572 point, okay, the 5 rounds the 4 up to 5. This is being measured in centimeters. It's still volume, so it's still in cubic centimeters. Okay, so one more time, just going to kind of walk you through that. 4/3 pi r cubed, right? Pi we know, r we got from the diameter was at 11. This number here, we just multiplied 11 times 11, right? That's right here, 11 times 11 times 11. Okay, to get this number, 1,331 times pi. That gave us this number here. Then we multiplied top times the top, times 4, bottom times the bottom, that's 3, and then we divide it, okay? All right, so if you're using a calculator, that's kind of the process you're gonna be going through. Can you work this all out? Yes, it's just going to take you a really long time because this is 8th grade material and 8th graders get to use the calculator. We're going to let you use this on, at least for this part, okay? All right, number 2 says half a sphere. Okay, so here you can see you have a sphere, but it's been cut in half. It's called a hemisphere. All right, so if it's half a sphere, then what do you think you're going to do? You're going to find the volume, and then you're going to do what? Cut it in half. Perfect. All right. So volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. So let's start with that. So 4/3 pi is 3.14. Radius is actually the radius this time, so 5 cubed, which means what? 5 times 5 times 5. So 5 times 5 times 5. All right, since you're able to use a calculator, use it. 5 times 5 times 5. Okay, it's 125. So 4/3 times 3.14 times 125. All right? And now I'm going to multiply 125 times pi, which gives me 4/3 times 392.5. Okay, to multiply it by a fraction, I'm going to make it over 1, and then I'm going to multiply times 4, and then I'm going to do 3 times 1 and get the denominator. So 4 times 3.92.5 is 1,570. 3 times 1 is 3. And now I just divide those. So divided by 3 equals, is that right? 523.3 repeating. Okay, so that's the volume of the whole sphere. We want half of the volume, right? Because we're doing half the sphere. So we need to do half of 523. Okay, so remember, half is just the same thing as dividing by 2. So you just take that number and divide it by 2. And you get 261.6 repeating. Okay, it says to round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so if this is repeating a 6, oops, can you see that? This is repeating the 6, then that's going to round it up to 261.7, and this is being measured in centimeters, so cubic centimeters would be the volume of the hemisphere, of half of the sphere. Okay? All right, last question we're going to look at is a snowball has a diameter of 6 centimeters. How long would it take the snowball to melt if it melts at a rate of 1.8 cubic centimeters per minute, round to the nearest tenth? Okay, so this one is not asking directly for volume, but if I'm going to find the rate at cubic centimeters, that tells me I need to know the volume. All right, so I've got a snowball, has a diameter of 6, all right, so I know I'm finding the volume of a sphere. Right, that is 4/3 pi r cubed. So I need to do 4/3, 3.14, and the radius, if the diameter is 6, then the radius would be half of that, which is 3 cubed, which means what? 3 times 3 times 3. All right, hopefully you know that one. But if you don't, you can plug it into a calculator. You'll get 27. Okay, then you're going to do 27 times 3.14. which is 84.78. Okay, you can make that over 1 and then multiply. Times 4 gives me 339.12 over 3. And then divide that. And you get 113.04. So this is volume. That's not what they're asking for. This is volume measured in cubic centimeters. Okay, so what are they wanting to know? How long it takes it to melt if it melts at a rate of 1.8 cubic centimeters per minute. So a rate, okay, remember rates, it's just a way to write comparing numbers. So what if we did the rate like a fraction? What if we had 1.8 cubic centimeters per minute over, which means 1, right? Over 1 minute. Okay, this is also cubic centimeters. So we want to know if you can do this much in 1 minute, how many minutes would it take to do this many cubic centimeters? All right, this is just a basic proportion, right? You can do your boxes if you want. Okay, but basically you're just going to figure out how many times, how many minutes it takes to do this, and you do that by dividing, right? Because when I multiply this, I multiply across, I'm going to get 113.04, and then I'm going to have to do what? Divide by 1.8. So now I'm dividing 1.8 into 113.04. Okay, since we're using a calculator, let's make the most of it. 113.04. Divide it by 1.8, and we're going to get 62.8. Is that right? 113.04 divided by 1.8. Yep, okay, 62.8. And what are we solving? That's 62.8 what? Minutes. Which is answering the question, how long is it taking it to melt? All right, spheres. Just another formula. Again, you don't have to have it memorized, just know how to use it. All right, see you in class.